There we go. Good morning, everybody. It still cracks me up. It tells me, watch this on your bigger screen. Oh, I love Facebook. Okay, so I think, there we go. I have the comments. Hi, Pam and Fran and Linda and Amy and Yvonne, Kelly, Stephanie, Amy, and Linda. I think I said a couple of people's names twice, but thank you guys so much for joining me today. I do apologize. I know I was running a little bit later than I said I would, but Rainbow Stamper had a follow-up appointment virtually this morning that did not go off as smoothly as I hoped it would start, but everything's fine. Oh, and I was going to say, welcome to, we are either in 4th spring or 1st fall here in Maryland, because it's about 68 degrees and overcast and quite chilly, actually. I have on long sleeves today. So thank you guys for joining me. Hi, Terry. Hi, Mary. Hi, Karen. Hope you guys are doing well. Hot and humid Nebraska. I wouldn't mind some of that. We'd be able to swim a little bit more. Hi, Heather. I have 2 people from Nebraska today. Good morning, Sherry. Hope you're well. Hi, Trudy. So today, I have, first of all, I want to share this card that I believe it was Jean sent me. So Jean won, I believe it was the best, I think, what is that called? Best Catch stamp set. And she sent me this beautiful card. Isn't it pretty? I wanted to share that with you guys today. I love this dragonfly set. I still have it, as a matter of fact. Beautiful card. So thank you, Jean, for sending me. That was her thank you for the gift that she won. I did pick some winners yesterday. I got, I think, about 4 emails. So if you didn't check yesterday, I did get some winners pulled for Facebook and for YouTube. I did 2 lives yesterday. So check your name. Hi, Luke. Thanks for joining from the UK. Very nice to see you. Hi, Adrian. Hope you're well. Kay, thank you guys for joining. So today what we're going to do, and I did a little pre-gaming. I'm going to tell you why in a moment. Wendy, I'm jealous. You have the perfect day in Minnesota, 72. 72 doesn't sound bad right now. It's kind of chilly here. I would be happy with 72, but you know what? At least it's not raining. So it's not raining and we're safe and we're healthy. So got to call that a good day, right? So what we're going to do today, I'm going to show you, we're going to use Queen Anne's lace. So I did a video with this on YouTube. It was a pre-recorded video and I wanted to do another one. I have a couple really, really fun cards coming, so I'm going to have to share them with you guys. We're going to use these 2 colors. So these are 2 new colors, Misty Moonlight and Magenta Madness. Super pretty. So we're going to do a little bit of ink blending and resisting for some stuff. So we'll see. I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to ruin it. But I also have a couple gorgeous cards to share. And I'm going to do these as, I think I'm going to do a couple of them as pre-recorded videos and then maybe lives because I'm not sure. I kind of try to do a mix. The pre-recorded ones I almost always put on YouTube, but sometimes I do YouTube lives as well. So it just kind of depends. I like to mix it up. So I'm going to tell you for this card we're doing today, what I'm going to use are 2 sponge daubers. I also did this with sponges, so you can see the difference between the 2, and you could choose whichever one you like. It's going to get to 88 in Indiana, Fran, and you're sad about that? I would be so happy. It's going to be like probably hotter than Hades here this weekend. I think we're supposed to hit like 92. So it's like a 30-degree temperature change, which is just crazy. Okay, so you definitely will need a couple things for this. So I'm only going to tell you this ahead of time just in case you're watching this after the fact. So you'll need like a paper towel, or you could use a microfiber cloth or something like that, or an old tea towel. You're going to need some sort of, and I don't think I did this ahead of time, and that was probably the one mistake I made, but we're just going to have to deal with it now. You'll need something that has water in it. I feel like these might have alcohol, but I'll have to smell them. You prefer the cold. I'll switch with you. Today, Fran, we can switch places. I'm sure Mary would be thrilled with me. She'd be like, no, Mom, don't leave me. So you're going to need also, here's the other thing. This is a messy project. So I have my Gail's nails are still on. I got these from Gail in case she happens to be watching. And the other day I ripped one of my fingernails, so I had to trim one down. And I will tell you, they really held up pretty well. They're kind of getting a little bit worn on the edges. We're almost at a week. And this one little finger here has some staining on it. So if you want to have clean hands and you're going to do this project, you might want to do gloves or something. I know some people don't like to get their hands dirty. I'm probably one of the dirtiest crafters, gardeners, any kind of thing anyway. So that's normal for me, but you might want to have gloves. And so I picked Magenta Madness and Misty Moonlight, but you could pick a different blue and pink combination. You could do Melon Mambo and Pacific Point would be pretty, but I thought this would be fun. And when you see it, you'll understand why, just because of the colors. You could also, if you still have them, do Lovely Lipstick and Blueberry Bushel together because they were really pretty colors as well. But I kind of went for a pink and a blue because in the center it did a little purpley action. So you'll see in a moment. So I am going to flip you down and we'll get started. I kind of have to rearrange you. So you have firework nails? That is awesome. I know that Gail mentioned that the Color Street was coming out with a patriotic nail. So I can't wait to get my hands on those. But I think they had some sort of a technical web issue that day. So those I'm definitely going to get because I love like flag and fireworks and that kind of thing. So it'll be pretty fun. Okay, so I'm going to flip you around. So if you get a little motion sick, just look away for a minute. I'll let you know when we're all locked and loaded in the holder. Pop you down here. Slide these over so I can see. All right, so if you're hearing this now, we are all situated. Had to do a little rearranging in my craft room. I cleaned things up a little bit. So let me just move a couple things out of the way, particularly my coffee, which I'm always afraid I'm going to spill, but for some reason it never seems to scare me away from not having it. Okay. So I'm also going to share another card on YouTube this week, and it's really, really neat because it's a fun interactive card. All right, so I did this, oh gosh, you can still see the pink on there. These are very wet, so I need to grab some dry sponges, but you can do this with sponges or with Dauber. So I'm just going to grab two remotely close to the color I want to use sponges. You can see I keep all my sponges in these little cookie containers because, you know, if you've watched me at all, you know how much I love cookies. So I have all my Daubers and my foam rollers and then all my extra sponges because the sponges do eventually wear out. You'll notice if you are sponging, so this is just like a little PSA. If you're sponging and you notice you're getting some debris, you probably want to throw out your sponge, but sometimes people will put a piece of paper or a little clip. That way they keep their fingers clean. No matter what I seem to do, I can't keep my fingers clean. So I've just resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to just be a messy crafter. So that's just how I am. So let me move these over. So you're also going to need Versamark. You're also going to need your heat tool. So once we get going, I'll zoom that up and get it ready to go. Let me just grab my paper towel. And I'm going to move these couple little things over. I'm just going to put my iPad over here. So hopefully I don't drop that, but hopefully I can see your comments. Let me catch up here for a minute. Only thing about your iPad is it never lets the comments like stay live, which is crazy. Yes, if you don't follow me on YouTube, hi Gail, I was just talking about you and my fingernails. If you don't follow me on YouTube, 2 reasons to follow me. I do post sometimes things there that I don't post here on Facebook, and you can find me on any platform at Rachthestamper. So I am on YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and then my blog is rachthestamper.com. But I do post things that I don't post there. But the other thing is, if you follow me on YouTube, so right now, if you're watching me, and up here in the top, there's a red button. So if you don't see that red live button, that means that you're not watching on the live, which is fine. No problem with that whatsoever. And the same thing with YouTube. The other thing is Facebook sometimes does or doesn't give you alerts. YouTube is fantastic about giving you alerts. So if you follow me on YouTube, you'll hit subscribe. And if you turn on, there's a little bell down on the side. It will actually tell you every time I put a new video or I'm getting ready to premiere one or if I'm live. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so what we're going to do today, and I did 2 of these ahead of time. This one was done with a sponge dauber. You can see the circles a little bit. And this one, and I did this ahead of time, so just pretend like you don't see this part right now because I kind of goofed it up. But this one I did with sponges. So you will get 2 completely different looks. But essentially what I am going to try, which I kind of started with this one, you can see it almost resisted even though I didn't actually put anything on there. But what we're going to do is we're going to try a resisting kind of technique, okay? So I started with Magenta Madness at the top. And then on the bottom, I did Misty Moonlight. And then in the middle, you can see they kind of did this purpley. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to see if I stamped this and did resist, which this doesn't have anything on it. This is just, I stamped it with Versamark. I sprinkled the embossing powder, but it stuck to the whole card because it wasn't dry yet. So I got that little kind of resist look even without anything. I just literally stamped this and left it. So we're going to try it again. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to do 2 more cards. And when I do these 2 cards, we'll set them on the side. And hopefully by the time I'm done, they'll be dry. So I do have just this mounted. This is the Queen Anne's lace because I wanted it to be a little bit detailed. I didn't want to do the other one. So I'm just have this stamp only mounted. I have my 2 inks. So again, this is available in the new catalog. Has a lot of beautiful sentiments, which is one of the reasons I bought it. But I also love the Queen Anne's lace flower because this is something we picked a lot growing up when we went to visit my grandmother in Western Maryland. So let me move these couple things out of the way. I do have clear embossing powder. I have my embossing buddy, so hopefully you have something similar around. I have my coffee filter to catch it, and then we're going to just split these up. So I have one with the dauber and one with the sponge. So I'm going to do one of each. I am going to do this on a piece of scrap paper. One other thing I will tell you is if you're doing this, you could do 2 things. You could either grab if you're trying to keep your hands clean, grab a Post-it note to kind of slide around. If you happen to have a piece of release paper from the adhesive sheets would be good because then you could move it without any issue. And I'm going to do one more thing because I noticed there's a little powder here. I'm going to just wipe this off with my microfiber cloth. That way it's clean. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to grab 2 pieces of thick Whisper White cardstock. Now, the reason you want to use thick, you can use whatever you like. However, thick Whisper White cardstock is going to take water much, much better than anything else. If you don't have thick Whisper White cardstock, I really would be a little bit careful about using the regular Whisper White because it just is not heavy enough of a weight. You also could use, I have also used Nina Classic Crest 110-pound solar white cardstock. I like that a lot. That is not a Stampin' Up! Product. It's another product altogether, but I really like it. So I'm going to cut this to 4. What did I should have done 5 1/4. Oh, ding dong. So I'm going to have to cut this other one down. So I'm cutting this to 4 by 5 1/4. This one I cut a little too short. I cut this one to 5. So this one I'm just going to go ahead and trim down to 3 3/4 by 5 just so I have an even border. So these are going to look just a little bit off than what I originally intended. But we'll do one with the sponge and one with the sponge dauber, okay? So I'm going to start with Magenta Madness first. And what we'll do is when we're finished with these, I may or may not be able to do these just depending. So you have kind of 2 options with this. You can either let it dry like I did with this one. I didn't fool with this one at all. Or you could heat set it with your heat tool. So it just depends. So I'm going to do the sponge version first. So just have Magenta Madness and a sponge that is permanently stained, but that's okay. As long as you rinse it out, it does not transfer the color. So I'm going to pick up some ink and I'm going to just kind of start off. One thing with this, it does take a little bit of work to kind of cover up the swirling. So it's not like you're going to just put one coat on and be done and be like, oh, okay, it's done. It doesn't work that way. It definitely takes some ink and some patience. And I kind of go across the middle just so I have a more faded pink here. And then I'll just start the same thing again, kind of moving around. I am attempting to start off of the page so I don't have as many swirl marks, but eventually if you want a really dark color, you kind of have to start on the page. So if I notice there's any swirly marks, like right here, I'll just kind of pick that spot and go over it again. And as you go over the color over and over, it'll kind of cover up some of those original swirl marks from your sponge. And also, you don't have to go just in a swirl. I tend to only swirl. You can go back and forth, up and down. Kind of brings all the colors together. You can go crosswise. You probably could, if you wanted to, use glycerin, but I haven't experimented with that yet, so I can't tell you exactly how. So that's a pretty good dark pink. Okay, so there's one. You can see my fingers are already extremely stained, but it's okay. So I'm going to now, this one is the sponge. Well, I have this color. I'm just going to do the sponge dauber now. So I'm going to set this over here. Now, one thing with the sponge dauber, you want to try to be a little bit more careful, only in the fact of, if you just touch this, it gives you a very circular look. So this one, when you, especially when you first go on, you want to try to start off the paper. So I'm just going to kind of tap and dab it. And then same thing again. So as long as you don't start on the paper, and I'm going to show you what I mean just by making a mistake on purpose. If you start on the paper, you're always going to have that dot. So try to, when you're starting this, to start off of the paper. So like this, starting off, and you really won't get a hard round circle there. So that's just one tip. But if you work it enough, eventually it will fade, that you can kind of cover it up. But it does take a little work. Same thing with your sponge dauber though. You don't really necessarily have to go in a circle. You can go back and forth. You can kind of go crossways. But you want to, no matter what you do, try to kind of start off a little bit. And this is a pretty deep color ink. Again, you will get completely different results every single time you do this. So just kind of keep that in mind. Which is kind of fun, I think, because that way none of your cards will look the same. Just want a little bit darker here at the corners. A bit darker down at this end. And as you can see with this, where I'm running, because I'm pressing so hard, I'm getting a lot of dotting. But this part is going to be kind of the merging of the color, so I think that should be okay. So, you probably could also do this with a sponge brayer. Well, dang, now I'm going to need to get another piece of, I'm going to do one. You know what? Donna, I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, this one I'm going to grab with, only because I don't have any more thick already cut and I don't want to make you wait. I'm going to do a thin piece of Whisper White so we can see how this holds up in the long run. But, ooh, sorry, let me grab this while we're here. One. This one we can use for blue. The nice part about the sponge brayers is you get 2 handles and you get 4 sponges, and you can rinse them out and use them over and over again. But while we're doing it, might as well. The more the merrier, right? We'll make this a marathon. Hopefully my battery won't die. That's all we're going to say. A marathon class today. So when you roll your sponge brayer, you want to make sure you go the whole thing. You don't want to just go back and forth, because then you'll only have ink on one side. So you want to roll it around. Try not to press too hard so you don't rip into your pad. And same thing again. So I'm going to start off. This one, you can get a little bit more of the line, so you kind of want to make sure you move every single time. And try and go down just a little farther. Hope everybody's healthy that's watching and enjoying some beauty today, some sun and fun. Actually, this one gives you a pretty nice lined look. I kind of like that. Good suggestion, Donna. Thanks for that one. All right, so now we'll have 3, so that'll be good. So I'm going to close this up. I feel like that's got pretty nice coverage. So that was, again, Magenta Madness. So now I'm going to move on to Misty Moonlight. So let me see if I can find a place to put these so I don't contaminate everything. Put this over here, and my Dauber's safe. All right, so we're good. So now I'm going to go to the blue. So I'm just going to do the brayer first since it's all set up. So same thing again. When you do your brayer, just make sure you move it all the way through. You can see my roller is spinning. I'm not just going back and forth because it won't give you a good ink coverage. So same thing again. I'm just going to start off. Going to keep inking up. Moving into kind of different section every time. Ooh, this is really pretty. Donna, I think you made me have a new favorite, and we haven't even finished this card yet. That's why it's always fun crafting with somebody, right? Because they maybe bring out ideas that you wouldn't have thought of. Although I will say, I definitely miss the rubber brayer. Hoping one day Stampin' Up! Will start carrying that again, but I don't know, I might have to just whip it out and start using it because that was one of my favorites. Okay, so with the color, I still have on this one. I didn't redip it. I'm just going to go over, I think I got a little bit of water over there. I'm just going to go over that pink again. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it. Yeah, I definitely dripped a drop of water there, but so that looks really nice. I like this. So brayer, and also this is on the regular Whisper White, so this looks pretty good, but we're going to have to see. The only thing I'm worried is that this won't hold up to what we want to do with the water dropping part, okay? So that's my only thought at this moment. So now we're going to do Sponge Dauber. So I have my Sponge Dauber for the Misty Moonlight. Same thing again. Oh no, I'm so sorry about that, Debbie. That stinks. Unfortunately, also to share that happened to Rainbow Stamper and I, a very good friend of mine that I craft with quite often. We were just out walking, and she works in a hospital, so she unfortunately tested positive as well. So we did the 14 days of temperature taking and all that kind of stuff since we were around her. But luckily, we both came back, no fevers, no symptoms. So I'll say a prayer for you. I know that's a hard thing, especially as much as we all have missed our family and friends and just all the possibility of being contagious. That really stinks. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I hope everybody's negative too. All right, so we're going to add a little bit of this in. So this is a little bit more of, as you mix these two, you still have a little bit more of a dotty look. So I think all of them look really, really nice. They're just in their own way. Bring a little bit more of that in the center. And it's kind of nice too with the daubers. Once you get that base layer down, you don't really get as many circles as you originally did. So I'm going to bring this here. And then, because I still have this one over here, I'm going to bring my magenta. I'm not re-inking it. I'm just going to kind of spread it back. Okay, so there's that one. This one looks more like a tie-dye compared to the brayer. Again, this one also didn't get trimmed down, so we have that. All right, so this will be the final one. So this one is going to be with the sponge. So same thing, I'm still going to start off just to bring in some color. Yeah, Amy, I know your husband had it, so thank you for sharing that. I'm glad he's doing better, though, and Amy's living proof. Her husband had it, and none of her or her kids got it, so hopefully, same happened with my friend. Her husband didn't get it either, so it's good news that staying away from each other definitely does help it, that's for sure, much as we don't want to. So I'm going down a little bit into the pink. I'm going to do the same thing again. You know, Kathy, I think after time, they just disintegrate. I really don't think that there's much you can do, which I guess is kind of the purpose. I mean, I have a bazillion sponges. At one point, I was going to try to have a sponge in every color in a box, but I am so not that organized. So I think after time, they just break down. But I think if you rinse them out, after you're finished with them, if you make sure that you rinse them, you let them dry, that it definitely, I mean, the ones that I've had that break down are probably 10 years old. So I would imagine after time, they kind of do break down. But keeping them clean, rinsing them out, and I kind of store them all in a container together, I think helps a lot. All right, so that's a pretty good Misty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab my pink sponge, which I believe is this one. And I just want to go over just a little bit with what I have left on the pink, just to kind of re-blend it over in both directions. Also because I accidentally touched here, so I'm trying to cover up this little blue splotch. All right, let me move these over. I'm going to try to wipe my fingers off just a smidge. Yeah, you know, that's it's funny how people who are healthcare people who are so sick, and they just want to go back and take care of people. So thank you to all of them for looking out for all of us and all of our police officers, who I do pray for every night. All right, so we have sponge. We have sponge dauber. And last but not least, we have the brayer, the sponge brayer. I think that one turned out really, really beautifully. So these look super nice. So with these three, I'm actually going to let them sit on the side and dry. And put this. Hi, Tina. How are you doing on there? I didn't see you on there earlier. All right, so I'm going to take these three and just set them on the side for a minute. We're going to do our other two, and then I'm going to try and dry these and come back. But you can see, even with all these I've done, look, they all look just a little bit different. No matter what you do, they're all a little different. So that's kind of nice because they will be similar, but nothing is exactly the same. Okay, so with the ones that are actually fully dry, which are these two, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my heat tool so it warms up. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Donna. You are not kidding. So I'm going to, just for the sake of making sure I get everything where I want it, and you can see here, when I did touch my embossing buddy to this, that's how wet it still was. So I'm going to just, and I wanted to flip this over, I'm going to just hit my whole project, just that way my stuff stays just where I want it. And then I have my Versamark, my paper towel, and my very small amount of clear embossing powder, which I need to get myself a new one. So I'm going to take my Versamark. I did just re-ink this, and I'm going to just tap it on. Okay. Now this one does have a little bit of something already on it, so I'm going to attempt to kind of line it up somewhat the same. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I do have a mat underneath of here. If you don't have something underneath of it, what you want to do, which I did this earlier, is take your paper piercing mat. You can just wrap it in a piece of paper and put it underneath. It gives you a really good cushion. But I do have a mat under mine, so I'm going to take that. So we have that. And then I'm going to sprinkle my embossing powder on top. Okay, so we'll dry both of these at the same time. So there's one, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you don't have something underneath, I'm going to just put my mat. It's just got a piece of paper wrapped around it just to protect it for over stamping. You could do this too when we were doing the other color part earlier. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just kind of putting this somewhat in the center and just pressing. Okay. All right, same thing again. Just gonna sprinkle the clear embossing powder. Now the reason I chose clear, you could choose white, but I chose clear because I wanted the color to show through underneath. A little bit here. So if you have any little extra pieces, I usually keep a paintbrush and just kind of wipe off what you don't want to emboss. So that looks pretty good. So let me dump this. And now we will heat both of these. So my heat gun is nice and hot, so it should just take a moment to melt. Now, if you wanted to, you could absolutely do this with white embossing powder. If you have any black embossing powder, I think would look really pretty too. So I'm going to have to play around. So there is that one heated. It kind of all went disappearing clear. I'm going to do the same with this one. All right, you can see that one went clear as well. Oh, I got my thumb. Just in case, this is super hot, in case you didn't know. While I'm at it, I'm just going to heat these just to kind of get them to dry for a minute. So maybe we can do a couple different things with these. And one other thing you can do, and I'll show you this in just a moment. I'm kind of doing the front and the back just to make sure it's fully dry. So the way you can tell if your paper is or isn't dry, if there's any question, is if you hold this and you dump some powder and it doesn't fall right off like that one, it's still a little bit damp. So we'll just check it on all these. So you see how it sticks and comes off. This one's still sticking just a little bit, so this one's probably not quite as dry. This one should be pretty dry. Yeah, this one pretty much falls right off of. So what I'm going to do, because this one is pretty dry, again, because this was the regular Whisper White, is I'm going to do one more thing real quick. Just for something different, let me grab my... It's clear. White. I'm going to do one more. And then we will do the other two once I think these are a little bit more dry. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. This one I'm going to do with white though, just so you can see the difference. And then some people may, I'm going to do this one actually this way. Some people may or may not have black embossing powder. We did carry black embossing powder. I'm kind of hoping they bring it back. Maybe it'll be something in the holiday catalog. I don't know. But if you have it, you could use it. So this is white embossing powder. And I'm just going to sprinkle this. There we go. So let me put this away. I think everyone who watches this show here has seen me spill embossing powder at least once. Live, everywhere. So I'm going to heat this up. Now the regular Whisper White paper will warp a little bit more when you heat set it. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so there you go. You can see you have lots of different looks. So you could do it with the white or with the clear. Okay, but we're not finished yet. Wait, there's more. Let me see if I happen to have. Should have gotten this out ahead of time, but I didn't. Okay, so we're going to have to go with what I have. I feel like one of these has water and one of these has alcohol, but that smells kind of like alcohol. Let's see about this one. I don't know. I think they're both alcohol. Oh, well, we're going to just have to do it. We're going to do it with what we have. So these are the old style aqua painters. These I need to actually fill. These are the new ones. They have 3 different tips. There's a thin tip. There is a little bit wider of a tip. And then they have a nice flat tip, which I think is super awesome. So if you haven't used these yet, which clearly I haven't because I haven't filled them up, but I need to fill these and do something with these really soon. So I just have alcohol. So we're going to do that. Water will be a little bit different. But what I'm going to do is, this one's empty, so that's not going to work at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just kind of drip this. Make sure it's dripping. Yep, it's dripping. And I'm going to just drip this kind of randomly on here. And then take my paper towel and press. And it should pick up some of the color. Now you want to try to make sure that you stick with kind of the same color. Only because you don't want to cross-contaminate it, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to do a little bit more. All right, with this one. All right. Oops, must have some glue there. So I'm going to set this aside. You can see the paper is a little bit wonky, so this definitely needs to dry. So I'm going to set this on the side for a minute while I do this other one. Now I'm going to do it with the white. So, because I'm going to do something different with the other one. Kind of splattering all over. Again, remember this was the regular Whisper White. So you want to be a little bit more careful with this. It also will look totally different if you do this with water versus alcohol. I like the white because it really sticks out. I think I like it a little bit better. Okay, so one other thing I want to show you. I'm going to just heat these just for a moment. Just to help them dry a little bit. Yeah, you know, now that I've done this, I think that the white is super striking just with the contrast. And it also looks really, really cool. This one was the one that we did with the brayer. So I think this looks really neat. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to show you, and I saw Mai and Donna, we're currently fighting over our BFF, whose BFF she really is, which is mine. But Jennifer McGuire did this technique, and I thought it was really cool. So I want to show this to you guys. Now, one thing, and I don't, you know, I really might have to run to the bathroom and fill this up with a little bit of water because I don't know that it's going to work with alcohol. But you know what? We might just have to try. I think we're going to try anyway. So here's what we're going to do. So this is called a pressing technique. Maybe some of you have seen this recently. But I thought it was really neat. So I thought at the last moment, I'm like, I will add this into this. So what you're going to need is you're going to do your big shot. You're going to have a plate on the bottom. You're going to put this and you're going to put another piece of cardstock on top of it and then just this. So you're going to just run it together. So really it's not doing anything except pressing them together. So I'm going to make an attempt at doing this. We're going to see if it works. All right, so that's lined up pretty well. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spray this. I'm going to see what I want to do first. I think I'm going to ink this first. So I'm going to ink this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something a little outside the box. So I'm going to take my sponge dauber just a little bit and I'm going to go over the colors that are kind of in here. All right, so there's one. So I'm going over top of that color that we already added. Misty Moonlight. Where's this blue one? I'm just going to do the same thing over this. Right now is Donna saying, no, she's my BFF. Rachel's lying. I believe it, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to spray this. So this has alcohol and shimmer, frost shimmer paint in it. So could be a little different than if you did it with water. So I'm going to spray this. Let me move these over so nothing else gets destroyed in the process. I'm going to put this down here too, just to absorb. Spray this. Put this together. It's going to lay it right on here, just like that. And put this onto, oh, sky is falling. Put this onto, so have this as a sandwich. I'm going to run it through the big shot. I don't know if it's going to work. Might not work at all. But we will see. Willing to try for you. So let's see what this looks like. Oh, it kind of turned out good. This is still a little bit, I don't really necessarily love this because you can't see the white. What I should have done is use the white on it because I think it'll be really more. But this is basically making a print. So I ran this back and forth like 4 times. So probably if you did it with water, you would get a little bit more of a transfer because the water would wet the ink again versus the alcohol, which does kind of dry a little bit quickly. But the nice part is it gave you this really pretty shimmer over top of this whole thing. So I think that looks really, really cool. I'm going to dry this because everything looks different once you dry it. And then I'm going to do, I think, the white embossing on one of the cards we just did. And then I will also do the black just to see what the difference looks. So this just kind of gave you a print of that. So it's kind of neat looking. It would definitely need to be trimmed up. It's super sparkly, but it gave you like a reverse print of your stamp. I'm going to try and dry this out just a little, because this is definitely very wet. Even though it was alcohol, it really did wet the paper. And once you dry this, it really looks much, much different. Okay, so this has like a very, it's like a dotty, but also with the shimmer, it's really pretty. Have to figure out something that I would want to do with this one. But look at these once they've actually dried. They look really pretty. This one almost picks up the paper print underneath, which almost gives it like a newsprint look to it. You could even stamp something on top of this or do, yeah, I'm going to do black for sure, Kathy. But you could do like a, oh, this will be cool. I'm going to do something else to this one still. Okay, so hold on. So let's, before we move on, I'm going to move these over. I'm going to do these last two. Where did I put them? Here they are. I'm going to do one of these, another one of these in white, and then one of them in black. So let me just grab, because I think the white is super, super striking. If you still have the black shimmer powder, you could do that. Now, here's another thing. If you don't have black, so that's not, you could use silver. This is black. So one other thing I want to tell you, if you don't have black, what you could do is you could use your Memento ink, and you can use clear embossing powder. Now, Memento does dry a little bit faster, so you want to make sure you have this ready and dump it. So let me show you in the meantime. Where is my stamp? Here it is. So my stamp, I'm going to turn on my heat tool again. Okay, now since I have black powder, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to stamp this here. Okay. I use my same coffee filter for everything. Oh, you know what? I should have hit this with the embossing buddy first. That was my one mistake. But actually, it looked pretty good. But I think there's a couple little spots that need to be dusted. This looks really, really pretty. Look how beautiful that is. And it's not even heated yet. So there's one. So again, if you don't necessarily have black embossing powder, you could use Memento black ink if you have it, or any other ink if you have. Actually, if you happen to be having VersaFine is a pigment ink, it takes a little bit longer to dry. The clear embossing powder will stick to this much better. And then I'm going to do one more with white. So before, because I forgot, let me just do this just to cut this down. It's pretty dry, but I still like to do it just in case. So same thing again, have my Versamart. Okay, gonna stamp this. And just dump my white powder. So you can still see this one's still a little bit damp, because it's picking up trace pieces. I'm going to try, let me grab my smaller brush. That's pretty good for the most part. If we get a little whoopsie, that's okay. So let me put this back and we'll heat set both of these. Okay. There's the lid. Alright, so I'm going to do this one first. And since this heat tool is so hot, this is melting really, really fast, which is great, because it's less warping of the paper. And just in case you don't know, if you've never heat embossed before, if you heat emboss, it turns shiny. So you can see it's got a shiny finish when it's dry. There's one. Do this one. You want to keep it moving. pretty good? Yep. So there are those. Man, this looks awesome. I love that. That black looks so striking. What a beautiful... Oh, you're late. See, that's what I was talking about earlier with the Facebook versus the YouTube. Thanks for joining, though, even though you're late. But, man, aren't they gorgeous? That looks so, so pretty. So, same thing again. I think I still have a little bit of alcohol in here. Maybe instead of coffee, I should have brought up a glass of water. Thanks, Rhonda. All right, so I'm going to just drop a little bit of alcohol here. Same with this one. I'll just do this one in the meantime. And we're going to give this just a minute to let it dry. So this one, this is Thick Whisper White. This one actually is the Nina Classic Crest Solar White. So you can see there is a little bit of a difference. And man, when we did the brayer, boy, that looks awesome. I'm just going to dry these for 1 second. And then we will finish these up. I'm going to do one other thing, I think, with that one card that I wasn't in love with the clear. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so look at all these different versions we made. This one was the mono press. This one was the one that was kind of like, not really my favorite, but we're going to fix this one. So let me put these over here for a moment. So this one, what we're going to do is we're going to take, what do we have here? Which one would look best? Let's see. Yeah, too much. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to take this. Okay. I'm going to take this, and you can kind of put it any way you want. So if you want it a little bit crooked or whatever it is you want to do, I'm going to put just a teeny bit right here of this just to hold this down. Put this here. Now, you know, I could use my stamp stopper, which Lisa sent me, but I'm going to be honest with you. I brought it upstairs and I cannot find where I put it. It is lost in my craft room. And my craft room is not cavernous, believe me. But I know everybody has done that where they have lost something in their craft room. I have absolutely no idea where it is. So what I'm going to do, just to do something a little bit different, is... Gosh, I want to do black, but I'm afraid it might be a little too much. I'm going to try white, just for the heck of it. So when you do white, you got to remember a couple things. You have to have a separate sponge or dauber or whatever it is you're doing, because it permanently pigments it and you really can't use it for anything else. So I'm just going to grab this one and I'm going to do this with sponge dauber. So again, this is white craft ink. It does take a little bit longer to dry, so kind of keep that in mind. All right, we're going to just go over. You want to make sure when you're done with your stencils that you rinse them off pretty soon afterwards. I didn't do that with one of my stencils after I used the embossing paste, and it's kind of got a little bit of a film on it. It doesn't affect it. It's just a little kind of gross looking. So you lost yours a couple days ago. How do we lose things in our own house? It's not like I took it out and was crafting in the wild with it. I mean, I didn't go to the jungle and say, oh, I'm going to make some jungle cards. Nope. Just somewhere here in this mess of a room of mine. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So that looks cute. I mean, granted, it does kind of take over. I might actually go back after the fact. Ooh, well, that fast view said, no, I'm not letting go. I might go back after the fact and maybe re-emboss this in white. But it kind of looks neat. Kind of does something different to it. Gives it like at least a little bit of something. So it would be a pretty cool backgroundy thing. You can definitely see, I'm trying to see if you can see it on. You can see the stamped image a lot more when you turn it to the side. It probably doesn't translate as well. So this one I'm going to finish after the fact, and I will show you guys what I ended up doing with it. So what I'm going to do really quickly is just wipe this off. Just so it's kind of at least a little bit wiped off, and then I'm going to take this down. This is going to need to be rinsed out with some mild dish soap and water. So I'm going to put this on the side so I remember. And we will finish up at least a couple of these. So we'll do this one. I'm going to flip this over, just so I don't have that sticky spot there. So flip this over. Oh, these look so cool. This one, even though you could even stencil over top of this one. I think I might do that after the fact too. So a couple of these will be afterwards. This definitely got lost a little bit So I'm going to work on those, but I'm going to finish these 3 because I think they're really, really pretty. Let me make sure and see what I have these cut down to. Pretty sure a couple of these I cut. All right, so that one's good. 4. I think this one might have been the 3 3/4, and one of these was one I didn't. Nope, that's 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, great. So we will put these onto, I think I'm just going to put them onto black, because even with the white, it's going to look really striking with the color difference behind it. So let me grab 2 pieces. I'm going to grab 2 full pieces of black. Now, the other thing you could do is you could mat this with like a piece of silver foil or champagne foil behind it. I think would look really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and score this one at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to cut it at 5 1/2. And then I'm going to do the other one the opposite way. So score this at 5 1/2. And cut it at 4 1/4. Okay, so we have one left over. Put that one back. All right, so let's take a peek and see what these end up looking like. There's my bone folder. I have one. Oh my goodness, that looks so beautiful. This was a super, this one I feel like I want to mat this onto something as well. I don't know, man, that looks so beautiful. I am proud of myself today. I actually had an idea, and when I went through with it, even though the monopress thing didn't work out how I wanted to, and this brayer card, Donna, that was a super idea. But look at those 3 different ways. Sponge, sponge dauber, and sponge brayer. And granted, 2 of them were in a little bit different of the orientation, but they look so cool. So another quick thing, if you haven't used or been able to get your hands on the Stampin' Seal or the Stampin' Seal Plus, these are really very good adhesives, considering that I really am not a fan of the roller adhesive because I don't think it sticks well enough. But you do have to be a little bit lighter handed, I've noticed with these. You definitely don't need as much as you did before though. And granted, look, I'm going cockeyed everywhere, but it seals. I mean, it really holds, so make sure this is open correctly, really well. So you see, I didn't put a whole lot on there, but it's really very strong adhesive. I think it's pretty nice. So that was the regular Stampin' Seal, and it does have this little, I always put this on the opposite way, it has a little cap for it. And then the Stampin' Seal Plus, it actually is a tiny bit different, and I don't know if it's going to show up on here, but it has these little lines in it. Let me see if I can get it to show up. Let's see if you can see that on there at all. It has these tiny little lines in it. This stuff is way strong. It's a lot stronger than the Fast Fuse was, and I think it's much easier to use because you can be pretty light with it, and it doesn't require you to tag it or anything. I think I just do that because I'm so used to it. But so there's that one. And the nice part is too, even with all the work we did to this card, it really is pretty flat after the fact. So there's that. And then last one, I'll just do this last one because you know I love liquid glue, because above all things, for me, liquid glue will always be my absolute favorite. Put this on, and then all we're going to do is we're going to add some sentiments to these. Obviously, since this is a black base card, we're definitely going to need to add, a white panel on the inside, but that's no big deal. Let me just put this here. I really was considering putting down a mat for this one, but I think it looks really, really, really pretty just how it is, just like that. Okay, so the great part is, please excuse my phone ringing. The great part for this is it does have a lot of really nice sentiments. So we'll do one with best wishes. And even though I already put this down, since these are photopolymer, you can stamp and line them up exactly where you want them, which is really nice. So let's see, I think I'm going to do these in black, but you know what? I am going to use the VersaFine because it really is great for detailed stamping. Stampin' Up! Does not carry VersaFine. I believe I got mine on Amazon. So I will put a link for this when I do my blog posts. And I 100% agree. Someone mentioned this would really be pretty with the daisy, or not the daisy, the dandelion stamp set, which I can't remember what it is called at this moment, but I agree with you. I think it would be really, really pretty. So there's Best Wishes. This one I feel like I almost should do this in white embossed. I might have to do that. May have to do that one. Go back and do that one. And then for this one, I'm going to do Thanks. And do the same thing again. And then you could add anything else to the inside. We could put this up at the top. How about that? We'll go top left. I don't usually put sentiments in the top left, but I think that's pretty. Oops, I hope I didn't smudge that one. This ink, one thing about this VersaFine, it's a pigment ink, so it does take a little bit longer to dry. Okay, so what time are we looking at? It's already 11:02. I've had you here almost for an hour. Let me just do this last one. I'm going to emboss this with white heat embossing, and then we'll be done. Because I think the white and the black will look really nice together with the contrast. I grab my embossing buddy. That is not it. Here it is. I probably should have done this ahead of time, but it's okay. Just on that. And my Versamark, and I'm going to do Hello Friend on this one. Okay, so same thing, Versamark, white. Okay. Oh, nope, I didn't. It was the D. I was like, I smudged it. Okay. That looks good. So I'm just going to heat this. Looks nice. I'm going to give this a second just to cool off, because if you notice, when I did my embossing buddy, it kind of dusted up the black cardstock a little bit, which is fine if you're doing like a chalkboard style card, but otherwise you want the black to be really nice and crisp. So I'm just going to give this a moment to dry. And I'm just going to take my microfiber cloth and just wipe off, and it'll kind of get the rest of that extra dust off. So all we have to add to this is a nice white insert. That way we can write something on the inside. And they are so, so pretty. And not only that, but we do have, hold on, I just want to move this couple things out of the way so I have a little more space. Oops, forgot that one. Definitely want to make sure you clean Versamark off of your stamps, because it will attract dirt and dust and just yucky stuff that you definitely don't want on there. But here are a couple other ones. So I'm going to work on these and figure out something to do with these little extra ones with the mono print that I made off of this one. So these two we sandwich together, because that's how you can see, because they're backwards. Because this one, we have it on this side, and this one, it's on this side. So I'll do something with those two. And then I'm still going to go back. I might actually stamp this in black on top of this and make it into something else. So, I mean, honestly, it was a little bit of time because of what we did, because they do require a little bit of labor with the inking, but really 6 cards in an hour. And this was with me not having an idea, except for the fact I knew I was going to color the colors a certain way. So I think it turned out really, really cool. And I think I'm going to add black to this. The white needs to dry a little bit. I think I might add some sort of a stencil or something to this. This one I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with yet, but I want to do something. So I will finish these other 3 cards off and then make something else into them. But I think they turned out really, really pretty. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining me again this Wednesday, and for being flexible with me being late because of his appointment. I truly do appreciate that. If you have any questions about any of the cards we've made today, or any questions about stamping at all, please feel free to send me either a message here on Facebook, or you can send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. If you missed it in the beginning, make sure you go and check. I added some new names that I drew yesterday to the winners board, which is on my blog, rachthestamper.com, and you can see the June winners. So if you are a winner, I do need your full mailing address, including your zip code, to be able to send your prize. You have 2 weeks after the draw date, which was yesterday. If you're watching this after the fact and you still have questions, you're always welcome to send me a question, leave me a comment or message. I do try to read all my comments, although sometimes Facebook puts a limit to the amount you can see in one day. I do try to go back and check all of them. And then I also have a few friends on here that are always answering questions for people for me. So I thank them so much for doing that. I appreciate it because it's kind of hard to do this by yourself and manage all the comments at the same time and answer everybody's questions. So I hope that if someone has a question, please take the time to send me a message and I absolutely will answer it for you. But thank you guys very much for joining me, and I will be posting some new videos to my YouTube channel this week. So if you're not over there, make sure that you go over, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Again, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and my blog are Rachthestamper. Rachthestamper.com is my actual blog. And if you'd like to get any of these supplies, I would truly appreciate your support. You can go to my online store 24/7. You don't need a mask. You don't even have to put your bra on. It's rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.